15 because it balances.
All right, we are past 9 by a smidgen. I'd like to bring this November 23rd, 2020 edition of the Pennington County Planning Commission to order. The recommendations of the Planning Commission today on certain items from this agenda will be considered by the Board of Commissioners at their regular meeting, which is December 1st, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. And we also utilize speaker forums so that anybody who'd like to speak on any of the issues, please get a speaker form and see that it gets up here so that we can take those requests for testimony in a orderly fashion. And okay, I think our first, we're going to have several people on Zoom and we're going to have people on audio. It's going to be, I guess, a media show. So bear with us if you will as we work through this. Okay, we need, I think, a roll call, and since we have Mark is distant, we're going to have to do a roll call for attendance. Okay,
Charlie,
Here.
Jim,
here.
Mark,
Here.
Travis,
Here.
Kathy. Aye. Sandy.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Everybody is on board here. Okay. Let's, we need to, approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody have an addition, a revision, a correction?
I move we approve with no correction.
All right.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? We'll have to roll call, I guess.
Yes. Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Kathy. Aye. Sandy.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is passed. The agenda for today, normally we would just approve this, but we have one item that I think we could, with a motion, remove, simply because it's the number 16, which deals with the TIF. Because of an oversight on the part of the underwriter, some of the information did not get into the packet, and so rather than bother with even going to it, I think we could entertain a motion to have that removed from the agenda, and then we'll pick it up the next time it appears. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Also move.
Second. Okay. Roll call?
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Kathy. Aye. Sandy.
Aye.
Okay, along with that, the consent agenda, which we will approve one way or another, in full or separately.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Molitor, Planning Director. The following items have been placed on the consent agenda for action to be taken on all items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any Planning Commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this Planning Commission are recommendations to the Pennington County Board of Commissioners, who will make the final decision. Item number 3 is conditional use permit review CU 1425 for Jeff Devaney to review 2 storage units to be located in a highway service district. Staff is recommending approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1425 with conditions. Item number 4 is conditional use permit review CU 1605 for Spring Creek Hideaway LLC, Brent and Pam Barink as the agents, to review a vacation home rental in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1605 with conditions. Item number 5 is conditional use permit review CU 1742 for Kyle and Christina Volmer to review living in a recreational vehicle while building a single-family residence in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1742 with conditions. Item number 6 is conditional use permit review CU 1744 for Gregory Yates to review a vacation home rental in a low-density residential district. Staff is recommending approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1744 with conditions. And finally, item 7 is a road naming for David Grover to name the proposed 40-foot wide road to be dedicated as a private access easement, providing access to properties located in section 32 of Township 1S, Range 5 East in Pennington County to Mills Ranch Road. And staff is recommending approval of the road naming of Mills Ranch Road.
Very good. Is there anyone on the commission who wants to remove any of these items for consideration? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to examine and discuss one of these issues before we vote on them as a group? Items 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Seeing none, a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent.
Approval, Ms.
agenda.
Johnson?
Second.
Okay. Oh, once again, we're going to have to do a roll call.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Item 8.
Okay, item 8 is going to be presented by Cody, and he's actually on.
Okay, Cody's on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Cody.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So item 8 is layout plan LPL 20-35. It's to subdivide and create lot 1 and 2 of Sweetland subdivision. The applicant is Shane Sweetland. Currently, the property is owned general agriculture district and is 5.02 acres. There's no structures on the property, but there is a special flood hazard area. The 100-year flood plain is on the property. They're proposing 2 lots. Lot 1 would be approximately 2.5 acres. It would need to be rezoned with a comprehensive plan amendment, or they would have to obtain a lot size variance. Lot 2 would also be about 2.5 acres and will also need to be rezoned with a comprehensive plan amendment or obtain a lot size variance. This was routed for interdepartment comments. County Highway would like to see a single shared access onto Marshall Gulch Road. So an access easement would need to be platted for the 2 lots. That was made a condition of the layout plan. Also, the county addressing coordinator and the certified floodplain manager would like to see the 100-year floodplain limits on the minor plat with the current firm panel. The Department of Equalization and Register of Deeds had no comments on the plan. The applicants want to plat the land. It's 2 brothers who own the property. They each want to put a cabin on the property, and since only 1 residence can be on a property, they chose to subdivide. The future land use of the property is rural residential, which requires a 3-acre lot size. So as stated earlier, they'd have to get a rezone or a lot size variance for the proposed lots. The surrounding uses is general agriculture currently and rural residential in the future. There are mainly single-family residences on Marshall Gulch Road, so the proposed use that they're looking at would fit the area. For the purposes of the layout plan, staff finds no significant issues with the applicant's request and is recommending approval with 13 conditions.
Any discussion or question on this, either from commission or the
I've got
Audience?
one question.
Charlie?
Cody, can you help me on the county addressing coordinator, certified floodplain manager? It said item number 2, there is a special flood hazard area on the property, and then they've got a firm panel. Can you elaborate on that a little?
So the special flood hazard area is just the floodplain. You either have the floodway, the 100-year floodplain, or the 500-year. As for the firm panel, I believe that's what Jason, the certified floodplain manager, and engineers go off of for information, but I think he'd be able to maybe explain that a little better than I could.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason Tennyson,
Morning.
County Planner. Yeah, so the 100-year floodplain that we're talking about, special flood hazard area, is taken from the flood insurance rate maps, which are developed by FEMA, and those are required to be on these layout plans and minor plats moving forward.
The only reason I ask is because the property next to it, let's see now, that's that little red house down in the valley that has had some septic issues over the tank. And then the next one is I believe is the veterinarian. And she's looking to develop hers or put a house in. Have those all tied together? I guess nothing's happened on the little red. In other words, we see these floodplain things come in and they don't necessarily line up after people's review of them, let's say.
All these special flood hazard areas should line up because they come directly from the FEMA-approved maps.
Okay, when it says special, in other words.
Right, the 100.
I didn't notice
100-year
that
is
being
100
part of
year.
it before.
Yeah, so the 100-year is identified as a special flood hazard area.
Okay.
It's separate from the 500-year and it's separate from the floodway.
All right.
But per our subdivision regulations, they need to be identified on plats.
So
and
when we
plans.
look at that picture, that overlay, it's, versus the size and extension, it's fairly accurate then?
Correct.
Okay, that's
Okay.
where I was headed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I have
Kathy.
one question. Regarding the comment from the county highway about making sure there's a single shared access between the two lots, I look at the conditions, and the only one that strikes me that might pertain to that is number 10. Is that, but it's not, it doesn't specifically say that. Is number 10 designed to address the county highway's concern about only one access?
Yeah, so that 40-foot wide private access easement would have to be for one of the lots. So I don't know where highway would approve an approach at, but there'd have to be a access easement for the property that doesn't have the approach.
Okay, I mean, I guess I'm just asking the question, I don't know, but do you think that needs to be a little more explicit to, make sure that it's, the counties, the highway department, said a single shared access? Or do you think is that self-explanatory, or, could that be a
Yeah.
point of confusion?
Yeah, we could definitely add a condition in there that says only one access for the proposed lots.
Yeah, I don't feel, too strongly about it, but it just strikes me as that it could be a point of confusion and that having a little additional clarity might be wise.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, what would be the preference? Should it be another, like, condition number 14, or should it be modifying condition 10 to state that? Cody, which do you think is the better approach?
I think either or. I think if we just added a condition that only one access be allowed for the two properties, shared access, I think that'd be fine. Or it really doesn't. I don't think it really matters which way you go. If you want to add a new condition or update it, it would just be how you wanted to word it.
Brittany, do you have a suggestion on that or a preference?
Good morning. For a point of clarification, I think that adding it as a separate condition, that would say that only one point of access be utilized for both lots.
Okay,
Okay.
only one point of access be utilized for both lots.
Is that number 14 then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay. Okay, well, thank you. Yes, I'll move approval. Are you ready to take a motion for?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll move approval of this layout plat, LPL 20-35, with the addition of condition 14, which states that only one point of access will be utilized for both lots.
Second.
Okay. Do we have that, the language down? Okay. Roll call, I guess?
Charlie?
I'm sorry, point of order there.
Oh.
we haven't allowed anybody from the audience to
Oh,
discuss.
sorry.
You have to call for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to make a comment on this? Okay. Seeing none,
We'll go back.
a roll call?
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Sorry. That's okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Chutima Sabun, County Planner. This item is conditional use permit CU 20-27. The applicants, Doug and Wendy Scogan, apply for conditional use permit to allow an accessory structure, a shed, prior to a primary structure in a general agriculture district. The subject property is 10.67 acres, zone general agriculture district. Access is via Greyhound Gulch Road. The subject property is not located in special flood hazard area. It consists of multiple structures built prior to 1994. Therefore, no building permits are needed. The residence was destroyed and removed from the subject property, COBP 20-0510. The request for comments was sent out for departmental review. Emergency service had a concern because there were multiple structures on the property and requested that the address is posted on the proposed structure. The applicant is aware of this concern, and this will be included in the conditions of approval if this conditional use permit is approved. Consideration for conditional use permit. Consideration for conditional use permit request. Criteria 1. The use of the proposed accessory structure, a shed, should not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. Criteria 2, the use of the proposed structure should not change the residential use of any surrounding properties and thus should not have any long-term negative effect on the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity. Criteria 3, the use of the proposed structure should not affect the normal orderly development or improvement of any surrounding properties in the area. The future land use is Ranchette Residential District. Ranchette Residential District allows the uses of single-family, large lot residential, accessory secondary dwelling units, public and quasi-public use, agricultural use, and storage. Criteria number 4. Access to the subject property is via Greyhound Gulch Road. This road serves approximately 12 lots. A majority of those lots are vacant of any structures. The nature of the proposed use should not have significant impact to the access road. The proposed structure will be open space with our living quarter and bathroom. It will contain no utilities. Criteria 5, the proposed structure will be for personal use only and not commercial type use. Access is off of Greyhound Gulch Road. Due to the nature of requested use, it should not significantly increase traffic volume and in the neighborhood. A majority of the nearby properties are vacant of any structures. Criteria 6, the current zoning is general agriculture district. An accessory structure prior to a primary structure is allowed through an approved conditional use permit. When a primary structure is constructed, this conditional use permit will be ended. Criteria number 7. The future land use of the property is Ranchard Residential District. Ranchard Residential District allows the uses of single-family, large lot residential, accessory secondary dwelling units, public and quasi-public use, agriculture use, and storage. On November 6, 2020, staff performed a site visit and spoke to the applicant, Doug Scogan. The proposed structure will be located on the south of Greyhound Gauge Road, and it will be open space building. On November 11, 2020, staff received an email from the neighbors, Jim and Naomi Lanto, in full support of this conditional use permit. Staff recommends approval of conditional use permit CU 20-27 with 11 conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Scogan, I think is online, on the phone line. If anyone has any questions of him.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, he didn't? Oh, okay. I was informed originally that he would be. In my own mind, I'm just kind of curious about why he wants to do this, or what's he gonna do? Not maybe that it's any of my business, quite frankly, but I was just curious. Do you have any idea what his
So
purpose
he
is?
just wanna have a storage, and
Or-
as of right now, he does not have any plan to have a house in that property.
Yes,
Yep.
okay. Well, I mean,
Mr.
other questions, or?
Yeah,
Sandy?
I mean, it appears as if there are a number of abandoned buildings there. Does he have any plans to demolish and clean it up or not, or?
No, he will try to keep it the way it is as much as possible. Yep, because he think that it's very interesting structure.
He thinks what?
It's very interesting structure to just have it there. So he does not have any plan to demolish or remove from the property.
These are, I assume, sort of historical structures. They've been there a long, long time.
Yes.
And
Right.
it appears from the pictures that the area around them is free of casual debris and stuff like that. I mean, so, they are old and worn, but,
Right.
rather quaint, it seems. Okay. Other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mark.
I just wanted to point out, the size of the lot is actually 10.61, not 10.67. So on the meeting minutes, it should say 10.61, not 10.67, if that's correct in our staff report.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I guess my biggest concern is matching to the emergency people's concerns here because of the numerous structures that appear are going to remain there at this time. And that would be that I think we need to be very clear about how the emergency number is posted and the importance of that.
Yes, Mr. Scogan is aware of that. That the address will be on the structure, and he planned to put a post in front of. Oops, sorry. Right by that haystack right there. Yep.
Is there, just a question, and here we see this all the time, is there cell service in the area? Because I think the emergency concern is if someone was hurt while they were working out there.
Right.
Not so much fire as hurt. And we have a number of areas within Pennington County, and we ought to bring them up every time,
Right.
that have no cell service and in effect then have no emergency services.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
They do have a landline on their house, which is just a couple property, just nearby.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone in the audience like to speak to this issue? Do we have a motion?
I'd move to approve.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Item 10. Oh, this.
Apologize, got my agenda items mixed up there. Jason Tennyson, County Planner. Agenda item number 10 is conditional use permit 20-28 to allow an existing residence to be used as a vacation home rental in a low-density residential district. The applicant is Nuvent Incorporated. The owner is Mystic Cottage LLC. Both entities are controlled by the agent, Don Williamson. Local contact is Deb Ulrich. Conditional uses decided under Bennington County Zoning Ordinance 510, Section 510, must meet 7 criteria. Those are on the screen for your review. I'll read staff's responses. Starting with number 1. The proposed use for a single-family residence as a vacation home rental should not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. Number 2, the proposed use should not affect the values and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity. Number 3, the proposed use should not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in this district. Number 4, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary site improvements appear to be provided. Number 5, a means of ingress and egress appear to be designed to minimize traffic congestion on public streets. Number 6, it appears the requested use will conform to all applicable regulations of a low-density residential district. And lastly, number 7, future land use of the subject property is identified as rural ranchette and low-density residential district. The requested conditional use appears to be consistent with the county comprehensive plan. As the property sits today, it is zoned low-density residential consisting of 3.01 acres. There's no special flood hazard area on the property. Access is taken off of Mystic Road, and the lot contains a single-family residence with attached garage, as well as a 20 by 24 detached garage and an on-site wastewater treatment system. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. Emergency Services responded that it appears the applicant does not have their address, the house number, posted where the driveway intersects the named road. With that, it is added as a condition of approval that that address be posted. So the applicants applied for this conditional use permit on October 28th. They have submitted everything required of the Pennington County Planning Zoning Ordinance to have a conditional use permit approved for vacation home rental in a low-density residential, and staff recommends approval with conditions.
Jason, we don't have a picture of this structure, I mean, other than that.
I do not, I'm sorry, I didn't get that in my slides.
Okay.
I have the aerial here, that's about it.
It's evidently a small frame structure?
It's a 2-bedroom house, yep, and they do have approval from South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources to have
Okay.
2 people in that house overnight.
Yes, Kathy.
Yep. Jason, I have 2 questions really, but one of them is the letter from the state regarding the wastewater treatment refers to this as a 1-bedroom house, and the drawing only shows, the little sketch only shows 1 bedroom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. So it is a 1-bedroom house allowed for 2 people overnight.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
maybe that should be corrected then in the staff report, because it refers to 2 bedrooms in 2 places.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's important, but under the analysis, item A, and then under the general description. So that, you might want to correct that. And secondly, I'm a little I'm a little confused on the condition 7, where it says a minimum of 5 off-street parking spaces. Why would they need 5 spaces if they only have maximum of 4 people for daytime and 2 for night?
That's another typo. I apologize for that.
What should it be?
This should be 2,
Should be 2 off-street?
correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion to change,
And this is I just need some clarification. I know we've had this question in the past, but I don't recall the answer. Why is it that sometimes this vacation home rental is on the consent agenda, and other times, it's in the back for additional
I believe
discussion?
the reviews are sometimes under consent unless there are issues that need to be discussed.
I'm sorry, what?
The reviews, when they come due review, I believe those are on the consent agenda, but any new conditional use permit requests get their own hearing now.
Okay, I'm looking at number 4, to review a vacation home rental. And this, okay. It doesn't matter, I'm still a little confused, but that's okay.
Okay, so once they get initial approval, like
Yes,
this one's getting initial approval today through a hearing, the next time it comes due review in a year from now, it'll most likely be on the consent agenda.
I see, okay, I thought this was a new one.
Yep, this is a new one, that's why it's getting its hearing today, instead of being on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Charlie.
Jason, just a couple of things. One, if I remember right, this property was subdivided relatively recently. I'm not sure whether it's a year or two, something like that. So then the road, since that's the only picture, and that concerned me. Whenever we're looking at these, it would sure not be nice to have pictures. We don't have time to drive out and look at them like we used to. But that's a shared access road to another, and I don't remember how the property's broken up from that. I remember coming to the hearing, but I know that this one up here, and then I think there's one with a couple of little outbuildings on it is another.
Right, so there's a platted access easement here off of Mystic Road that goes across the property. It follows pretty much where that 2-track is.
Okay, that's where I was headed to,
Right.
so that it gets to the other property. And is county aware, there's been a lot of dirt work going on in the back property, a lot. There's been excavators out there on and off for a year. Pretty good sized equipment. I just wondered whether anybody ever looked.
Okay. Yeah,
And then the final thing is, it would appear to me, and I don't know whether it's a problem for you, but our applicant's Nuvent Inc. And then we see the owner is Misty Cottage LLC. We get so many different sub-owners and titles. Do some of these present a conflict down the road if we have a difficulty?
Not in my experience, I haven't seen any conflicts
Okay.
with that. I do see what you're saying, though.
Yeah, because eventually we've got a real person.
Yeah, Don Williamson is the owner of.
Yes.
He does control both of those entities.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone from the audience like to speak to this?
We got one.
We need oh, okay.
I can explain to you, Mystic Cottage is the LLC that has it. Nuvent Incorporated.
You need to come up here and announce your name so that it's on record and.
Okay, Don Williamson.
Okay.
And I can explain the Nuvent Incorporated and the Mystic Cottage LLC. The property is under the Mystic Cottage LLC, but Nuvent Incorporated is my corporation that has the actual sales tax license for the state of South Dakota. So it will manage the property. Ultimately, it's me.
Okay. All right, so.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah,
What is the dirt work going on back there?
that's the neighbor behind me.
Yeah.
He was digging a French drain, I guess you might call it. That drainage.
Looks like a lake.
No, the draw coming down there. He diverted it over against the bank away from his house because he was getting so much fluid coming into the
Yeah, I knew
sumps.
Gloria. The water used to run under the house.
Yeah, yeah. And so he's been, I don't know who he's had up there has been contracted. Somebody's been working with him.
But we moved a lot of dirt. If you see him again, advise him that in the future, when you move that much dirt, you're supposed to see her.
Yeah, I assumed he probably did. I don't know. He's,
I figured you couldn't miss him. He was parking that excavator up by your place.
yeah, he was. They live in Miller, South Dakota,
Okay.
and they come there like us, just weekends and
It's
stay.
just a thought. Those things lead
Yeah.
to other things, and pretty soon then you start
I assumed he probably had a permit or something
doing
to
what you
be able to
want.
do that. Yeah. So that's what's been going on behind there anyhow. Restructure of the drainage.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Anyone else who wants to speak to this issue? Do we need a motion with a,
I'll move approval with the correction of the two-bedroom, which should be one bedroom.
right,
And then the correction on condition number 7, which should be a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces rather than 5.
all right,
I'll second.
okay. Roll call?
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Okay, item 11. Jason?
Agenda item number 12, minor plat MPL 20-37, to reconfigure lot lines and create Lot 2R of Marshall Gulch subdivision and tract CR of Lot 1. The applicants are Dean and Jennifer Karshnick. The other landowner affected are Timothy and Teresa Ripley. Survey and engineers.
Are you on number 11, or which
Yes.
number are you on? I'm confused.
That's what I've got, number 11, is what you're reading.
Right,
Right.
Okay, so
number
it's
11.
11, okay.
right. I apologize. My numbers are all off here. It is number 11. Yep, I apologize. Yeah, so the existing conditions as the property sit today, Tract C of Lot 1 is Zone General Agriculture District, 4.5 acres. Access is off of Little Tiger Lane. There is no special flood hazard area on the property. Contains a single-family residence as well as an on-site wastewater treatment system. Lot 2 is low-density residential district consisting of 7.8 acres. Access is off Marshall Gulch Road. There's no special flood hazard area on the property. Contains a single-family residence, on-site wastewater treatment system, as well as 4 outbuildings. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. Register of Deeds did have comments. Number 1, proposed legal description is not acceptable. And number 2, the formerly in the plat heading should be reworded. And that is contained as a condition of approval.
Okay.
Staff's analysis of the request is on November 5th, the Board of Commissioners approved layout plan LPL 20-32 with conditions. On that same day, the Board of Adjustment also approved variance 20-11 in order to create a lot size of less than 40 acres in a general agriculture district, which satisfied condition number 2 and number 9 of layout plan 20-32. There's a unique situation on this property that staff is working to resolve. We did approve a building permit for them back in 2003 to allow this house on proposed tract CR within a section line setback, and staff is working with them to resolve that issue, like I said. And lastly, the plat heading needs to be corrected, so the subdivision must be assigned to proposed tract CR per Register of Deeds comments. And with that, staff finds no significant issues with this request and recommends approval.
All right. Questions from the commission? Anyone in the audience like to speak to this particular issue? Well, do we have a motion then?
Move for approval.
Move for approval from
Second.
Mark,
Second.
second, Charlie. Roll call.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Jason, you're getting a workout today.
Yeah, sure am. We'll see if I can get this one right. Agenda item number 12, conditional use permit review, CU 19-26, to review living in a recreational vehicle stored within a pole barn on the subject property in a low-density residential district. Applicant is Danny Cruz. Site location is 23192 Radar Hill Road. It's about a quarter mile north of the intersection of East Highway 44 and Radar Hill Road. As the property sits today, it is zoned low-density residential district, 3.54 acres, contains a 42 by 90 pole barn, accesses off Radar Hill Road via 30-foot wide platted access easement. There's no special flood hazard area on the property. It is located within the city of Rapid City's 1 mile septic jurisdiction, and there is a county violation opened in August of 2019 for the applicant living in an RV without a conditional use permit, as well as no adequate means of wastewater disposal. There is a 25-gallon portable waste tank for wastewater collection, which does not meet the county requirements for an approved on-site wastewater disposal system. Staff's analysis of the request is on October 28th, 2019, the Planning Commission approved conditional use permit 19-26. And at that time, staff provided the applicant with a grant application from the West Dakota Water Development District so he could get a septic system installed on there for little to no cost to him. That grant is set up specifically for low-income type folks so they can get septic systems on their property. July of this year, staff spoke with the applicant via telephone and confirmed the RV was still being utilized as living quarters within the pole barn, and that the wastewater was still being collected in a portable waste tank and being disposed of legally. The applicant stated he had not applied for the West Dakota Water Development District grant, so staff again provided him with an email and that application. Again, in October of this year, staff spoke with Mr. Cruz via telephone, and he again confirmed that he had not applied for that grant. So staff emailed him the application again and offered to assist in completing it. October 26th, the Planning Commission approved the extension of this conditional use permit that with one condition, that if the applicant does not bring the property into compliance by the date of this meeting, this conditional use permit would be ended. November 16th this year, staff spoke with the applicant again, who stated that he had only secured one out of the 3 bids required for the on-site wastewater treatment system grant. And at the time that this staff report was written, the property had not been brought into compliance with the conditions of approval. And with that, staff recommends to end conditional use permit 1926 as the applicant has not met the approved conditions of approval.
Is the applicant here?
No, sir, he's not.
He's not. So the last conversation you had was the one dealing with the,
A week ago.
yeah, we could,
Right.
okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Questions, Charlie?
Jason, I've got a greater concern than the ones we're dealing with here, and I brought it up to your office. Nobody's even talked about the carbon monoxide level in that building from running the heater and the hot water heater. Now, I have no idea how well the building ventilates or anything else, but it's building up in there. And we're talking about a death sentence here that you don't know's coming. Perhaps it meant enough that the building's only going to get half full. I don't know. Engineering-wise, you need some type of engineering study to tell you at what point you're going to die in that building from that camper being in there. But it may only be half full. Carbon monoxide goes to the lower level. He may be fine in the camper, go out, start his car, and it takes him starting his car.
Right.
Because it's on a layered type level. There is no way that I could vote for this in any way, shape, and form. So as far as canceling it, doesn't even concern me until somebody comes up with an idea that can tell me whether that man's safe in there with that camper. I'm not going to vote for it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Kathy?
Yes, I have one question. On the recommendation, should it include that it'll be turned over to the county ordinance enforcement as well as, well, first end the conditional use permit and then turn it over to county ordinance enforcement? Or does that go without saying? Do we need that in the motion?
So that original ordinance violation that was open last year is still open
Okay,
for
so,
the septic system. So it's still going to be monitored and tracked that way. We're
okay,
just
so
gonna add,
what you're saying is we don't need to include that in the motion?
that's correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Travis?
so what are the next steps? If we basically revoke this CUP, then he is not supposed to be living there. So then if he continues to live there after we revoke this, what's the process at that point?
Right, so it's gonna go to ordinance enforcement. He's gonna do his follow-ups, and most likely it'll be referred to the state's attorney's office for further action.
Okay.
And what they do with it from there, I'm not sure.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mark.
If that does happen, Jason, what is the cost to him to apply and get another conditional use permit, provided he meets the conditions we asked for?
Conditional use permit fee is $420, and $100 of that is refundable sign deposit. So $320 total out of pocket.
Thank you.
Jason, now I noticed this fellow said he got one bid on this septic system. Is that right?
Correct.
And is it because he just can't find other contractors that might do it, or is it just he's slow and indifferent to this process and is not, I'm wondering if he's in a situation where he can't seem to find anybody that's willing to do it, and there's a requirement there be 3 bids and so forth. Do you have any idea of what his situation is in regard to that?
My take on it is the slow and indifferent that you spoke about. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he knew the individual that came out and gave him the one bid, but he hasn't been proactive in seeking out other bids.
Right, okay.
Mr. Chair?
Charlie?
I think when we notify him, and you guys do what you want, but I think we've got an exposure here that it needs to have some intensity in the direction that you go with the notification on him because of this is not a joke. This carbon monoxide thing is building up in there if he's running his heater.
Mm-hmm.
This is a serious, serious matter.
What can actually be done? I mean, can you go out there and remove the man from the property and say you're endangering your life? And he says, so what? He's indifferent to that. I mean, I share Charlie's concern about the consequences of this kind of behavior, but I don't know what kind of leverage we have exactly.
Colin McNee, State's Attorney's Office.
Yeah.
So, under an ordinance violation, we can proceed both civilly and criminally. Criminally, it is equivalent to a Class 2 misdemeanor, but each day is technically a new offense. So we could accumulate all of those, but that's punishable by 30 days, $500 fine, or both. Civilly, we can get an injunction to prevent him from living there. In essence, it's up to the State's Attorney's Office about which remedy to pursue. There's nothing that prevents us from pursuing both. It's really just the decision up to the attorney.
Okay. Well, I think an argument could be made that we've done what we can do. And in spite of the fact that all of us, I'm sure, feel some sympathy and concern for this gentleman's circumstance, I don't know it's actually our responsibility. It seems like it, goes to you, and perhaps at some point social services will need to intervene. Something needs to be done to protect this gentleman from his situation, perhaps. But I don't know that we can do anything more than what has been suggested. I only asked that question because I was kind of concerned, and I thought how, but I do think it's beyond our powers.
And certainly, the general course of action, if somebody ends up complying with the conditions, as a general rule, will end the ordinance violation.
Right.
And close out the file. So
Yeah.
if this particular gentleman ends up complying with all of the requirements, then odds are it'll be dismissed and closed.
Other comment, Kathy?
Just to be clear, if that's the case, if that does happen, and the ordinance violation then is ended, goes dismissed, a conditional use permit will still have to be obtained to him continuing to live there, right?
That's correct. That's still part of the ordinance violation right now.
Right. So
Yeah,
there,
if assuming he were to obtain a conditional use permit, comply with all the conditions thereof, then he would be allowed to live there and there wouldn't be any violation.
right, it would just be the 400 and some dollars, the fee, or then some refund, so 300 and some dollars.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Travis?
Jason, is he aware that we're to the point where we could end this conditional use permit and that he could then not be allowed to live there? Is he aware of that?
The discussion was that the conditional use permit would end. I didn't tell him he couldn't live there.
Commissioner Lassiter, I just want to step in and say that since Roman time, everybody has been presumed to know the law, and the South Dakota Supreme Court has said that over and over again. So that this particular individual might not have been explicitly told that, it doesn't matter for purposes of seeking an injunction to keep him out or to end the CUP or anything of that nature.
I'm fully aware of that. I mean, I've got teenage children, so trust me, I understand that principle. However, I think it would behoove us to make sure that he is very well aware of that so that he understands, because maybe that's part of him not seeking the other two quotes for the,
Right. So the discussion was, over this past year, I worked with him to get this approved originally, and the discussion was, you have to get this, you have to keep this conditional use permit to live in this structure. You have to get the septic squared away to keep the CUP at the review
Okay.
time. I mean, it's been very clearly known to him, or I've made it clearly known to him that this is important, it needs to get done, and I've done everything I can do to help him to get this grant and to get him squared away with it, so.
okay. I'm just asking to cover my basis just to make sure, so appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Not to harp on the subject, but should the commission decide to take the action as recommended by the staff, and I don't mean to throw Collins' legal process under the bus, but I think something needs to be mentioned about this carbon monoxide, and the reason being, I suspect if we have a very bad season this year in the winter, and we're heading into that, his next move is going to be to close those doors and make sure that you don't know what's going on in there without some sort of way to check it out. And that's going to exacerbate the situation. I mean, I think we've got to have it in the letter, the danger to him of continuing to do this. Thank you.
Any other comments? Audience?
Mr. Chair.
Anyone like to
Jim?
speak to this? Oh, Mark, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I think as long as those doors are open, I don't think there would be a carbon monoxide problem as far as because of the size of the building. But I would say, I would agree with Charlie that if he closes the doors, he could have a substantial situation.
Yeah, was the building, or the eaves even, are they open? Or, I mean, is it insulated at all, or is it just,
Let me
I can't
go
tell.
on. Show that picture again from there. The eaves are open, but carbon monoxide is going to start inches at a time and going up in the building, not going from the top down.
It stays low.
So he could be in the camper is what I'm saying. See the height of his fender of his car? Sleeping in his bed, and he might be fine. He might go to start his car, which again, in inclement conditions, and we get below zero, let alone the storage risk of all those cylinders sitting there, but go down and be sitting in his car, and he could be overcome by carbon monoxide that's not yet affecting him in the, I mean, it'll kill you right now, and you'll never know that you're going to die.
all right. A motion? Anyone?
I move we accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to accept staff recommendation. Roll call?
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Stephanie Jansen, Planner 1. All right, so item 13 is conditional use permit CU 7104 for David Allard to review an existing mobile home park. The property is located at 12350 West Highway 44. The property is zoned general commercial district with 3.11 acres and access off of West Highway 44. There is floodway, 500-year and 100-year floodplain on the property, as you can see in that map. As it sits today, lots 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 contain a single-wide mobile home, a shed, and a carport. Lot 2 contains a single-wide mobile home and a carport, and Lot 7 contains a single-wide mobile home, a deck addition to the single-wide mobile home, an attached garage, a shed, and a carport. So on January 20th, 2020, a violation was opened on the subject property, and staff sent the applicant David Allard a first notice letter explaining to the applicant that he has structures on his property without proper permitting. On March 23rd, 2020, this conditional use permit was up for review, and the Planning Commission approved of the continuation of CU 7104 to give staff time to explain the violations to the applicant and to give the applicant adequate time to address these violations. On April 4th, 2020, the applicant David Allard sent an email to the Planning and Zoning Department regarding the violations, stating that he was in lockdown in New Zealand due to COVID and wouldn't be able to meet up until at least May 20th, 2020. Staff met with Mr. Allard on the subject property June 4th, 2020 and July 7th, 2020 to explain the violations and steps required to address these violations. On August 5th, 2020, staff conducted a site visit to the subject property and noticed there was no progress in addressing these violations. On October 12th, David Allard tried to submit a building permit to the planning department for a single-wide mobile home to be placed on Lot 4 of the subject property. Staff told Mr. Allard that there was floodplain on Lot 4 and that he would need an approved floodplain development permit before he could apply for a building permit to place the single-wide mobile home on the lot. On October 30th, 2020, Department of Equalization stated that while doing their assessment of the mobile home park, Mr. Allard moved the single-wide mobile home onto Lot 4 without an approved building permit and a floodplain development permit. And this leads us into my site visit, which was on November 16th for this review. On November 16th, staff performed a site visit and noticed that some of the conditions for mobile home park were not being met and that there were multiple violations. And I'm going to briefly go over those. So this first one, on all these I have an aerial with yellow dots showing exactly where the violation exists. But on lots 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, they have carports that are permanently acred that do not have building permits. And that's kind of a picture of how they're anchored to the ground. And it does not meet condition 5. The next one is that single-wide mobile home on lot 4. It's in the floodway. There's no building permit, no floodplain development permit, and it does not meet section 304, which is actually condition number 7 in the CUP. So it doesn't meet 2, 5, and 7 of the conditions. The next one is a shed in the floodway. It's actually listed as a VHR. VHRs are not allowed in the floodway, and it's also not an allowed use under the CUP. It also doesn't have a building permit or a floodplain development permit, and you can see it's in the floodway in that aerial. And this is just the listing from November 18th. Doesn't meet 2, 3, and 5 of the conditions. There's another shed in the floodway. There's no building permit, no floodplain development permit. This shed has electricity to it, has an outlet, hardwood floors, sliding glass doors, and appears to be habitable. If that is the case, that's not an allowed use in the CUP. So it violates 2 and 5 of the conditions. And there's a third shed in the floodway. This one doesn't have a building permit or a floodplain development permit. And it doesn't meet 2 and 5. And lastly, we have the RV in the floodway. If the RV is placed in the floodway for more than 180 days, a floodplain development permit is needed. It does appear that the RV might be lived in, which is also not an allowed use in the CUP. And that doesn't meet 2 and 3. Before I continue, on page 9 of the staff report, we changed some dates around. Mr. Allard sent an email to me on November 19th, 2020, stating that he will be going to Puerto Rico from December 8th to April 10th. So staff has moved the deadline to the property, to bring the property into compliance from December 31st to December 1st. The meeting date has also changed from January 11th to December 7th. Staff spoke with David in person and emailed him a list of violations that he needs to address before the December 7th Planning Commission meeting, and explained to him that his conditional use permit will end if he does not address the violations and will be turned over to State's Attorney's Office. The applicant, David Allard, has known about the existing conditions for some time now and has not worked with staff to bring the property into compliance. At this time, staff will be recommending one continuation to allow the applicant to bring this property into compliance. And that condition is that if the property is not brought into compliance by December 1st, then the conditional use permit will end and be turned over to State's Attorney's Office.
Okay. So Mr. Allard is in Puerto Rico now? Is that it? or-
No, December 8th. He will be until
Oh,
April
okay.
10th.
Okay. Is anyone in the audience would like to speak to this? Mr. Allard obviously is not here.
He is not.
Very well. Questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Kathy?
Yeah, the date December 31, does that allow for adequate time, even if everything went according to plan, does it allow adequate time to get all these permits and, I mean, is there any like wait periods or anything that, is it feasible really to achieve all this by December 31?
It is. The problem is he's known about it for several months ahead of time, and he knows that he needs to apply for a floodplain development permit. He knows he needs to apply for building permits. That's not a very long process. Maximum, it'll take 10 business days.
Okay.
And that's why we shortened it. And since he's going to Puerto Rico, we don't want to prolong it longer than it's already gone.
How about moving these sheds or like the RV that's not supposed to be there? Is the fix there just to simply move them off the property?
Correct. Also, it can't be utilized. If he wants to utilize it, he can amend a CUP, and it would go through the planning commission and either get approved or denied, but it can't be used as a use.
Right, because it's not enough time to actually amend the CUP.
Correct. So he would need to move it.
Yeah, move it or, okay.
Their comments? A motion, perhaps?
I move to approve the recommendation.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Number 14.
Mr. Chairman, before we get off that, I do, since we followed her recommendation, I believe she changed the 31st to the 7th in her conversation, didn't she?
To the first.
To the 1st? Okay, I was trying to write the right date. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, item number 14 is preliminary plat PPL 20-36 to create lots A through L of Mills Ranch subdivision. This board has seen this request as a layout plan previously. The applicant, David Grover, is requesting this layout or preliminary plat to subdivide 3 existing tracts into 12 residential lots. The lot sizes will range from approximately 5 acres to 9 acres. Most of the lots as they stand today are vacant of any structures, with the exception of proposed lot J. That does contain the original homestead for this property, and that would be the largest lot requested in this request at 9 acres. As the property stands today, it is zoned General Agriculture District. There are 2 smaller lots that are associated with this plat that are just small, like sliver type pieces to the north that will be included as part of this planning process. All of these lots will need a lot size variance or a rezone in order for the plat to go through. There is no special flood hazard area on these properties. On the southeast side of the property, there is access to the lots K and L through a Forest Service easement at this time. Staff has spoken to the applicant about that, and he has spoken with the Forest Service about that access and to ensure that that access will stay in perpetuance. This was routed around the interdepartmental review process. There was a couple items that came back. The county highway department just wanted to be aware that no additional approaches will be approved off of Old Hill City Road. That 40-foot access easement that goes through the middle of that property there was approved. The approach was approved for that. That was part of that road naming that you guys had heard previously on the consent agenda for Mills Ranch Road. The county 911 would like Mills Ranch Road to actually be identified on the plat prior to the filing of the plat. There were just some normal comments from the United States Forest Service. The Register of Deeds did have some concern about having that proposed Lot I as it being confused with the number 1. However, for surveyors under South Dakota Codified Law 11-3-3 requires sequential numbering of lots. So that is why that lot I still remains. And also, there is a request for a subdivision regulations variance that will be heard in front of the Board of Adjustment on December 1st. And that is a request to write percolation and profile hole information and the submittal of a fire mitigation plan in accordance with our subdivision regulations, because there is it's platted more than 7 lots. It does require a fire mitigation plan for this subdivision. So staff is recommending approval of preliminary plat with conditions.
Very good. Anyone in the audience to speak to this issue at all? Questions?
Brittany?
Kathy?
The lots, particularly Lot A, that will have to have access off of Towering Pines Lane, will there be any requirement for upgrading that road? Because right now it's more like just a little trail. It's not really a built road.
Correct, and I believe that that is the only lot that would be accessed off of Towering Pines Lane. The remainder of the lots will either be off Old Hill City Road or the newly formed Mills Ranch Road. I believe that during some discussion with those property owners during that layout plan process, they were in front of the Board of Commissioners. They were aware there's an existing access easement off of Towering Pine Roads for that lot. So irregardless of whether that lot was there or it was the whole lot, that would still be in place and be able to be accessed through that lot.
So is that, so my question was, is that, would it require any upgrade to that road?
I would say no, because it's not increasing the density to the number of lots that are being accessed off Towering Pines, because that's already in consideration because of that easement. If any of the other lots were to take access off of it, that would either require subdivision regulations variance to require that not to be brought to standards, or access would have to be taken another way, which he has chosen. That's why the construction of Mills Ranch Road, most of those lots through there will be accessed off that.
I see, okay. Just for the record, I want to say that I was contacted by a couple of the family members from the Mills Ranch, Judy Lang and Gary Boone, who lives there. So, you know, they've expressed some concerns to me, but I'm not sure that those concerns really are, that we really can do anything about them. But one of their concerns was that, you know, will the fence be maintained? Because right now that road is the access road for the cattle to go from the north pasture to the south pasture where they get water. And, you know, their concern was if there was any way we could ensure that that fencing would remain so that the cattle would be, you know, not wander onto these lots. But that's really nothing that we can address, is it?
I don't believe so, but the applicant is in the audience, and that may be something that he may be able to speak to as far as, you know, notifying whoever the purchasers of the lots and some of the concerns or potential issues that could arise.
Okay.
That Lot B, how do they get access again?
The access for that one is off of Old Hill City Road.
Okay.
There's an existing approach. If you look, there was an old access easement that was through there to the north that this planning commission had seen previously. They vacated that access easement that was off of Old Hill City Road and moved it south to what is now that new 40-foot access easement, which is Mills Ranch Road. I do believe that that board heard that about a month and a half ago, about that relocation of that access easement.
One more.
Other,
Go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead.
L and K, and maybe there's something, I'm trying to find the different notes that apply, and it says, see note 4, and I looked at note 4, but it doesn't look like it carries along what I would call the, just for lack of a better term, the east side. In other words, how do they get back to the road?
So that road, there is a Forest Service road, it's US Forest Service Road 357, that
is.
actually takes access off of Old Hill City Road.
Okay.
That does come through there and crosses through, actually, that road crosses through private property, and it's a Forest Service road. So what the applicant has done is he has created that access easement through Lot K to Lot L for access from that Forest Service road.
That's where I was headed, because I was wondering whether they were going to be able to get a letter from the Forest Service anymore, be 3 to 5 years down the road to get that letter. But you're saying since it comes across the private property already, it exists, that the authority exists. In other words, somewhere along the line, the Forest Service said, hey, this is a deal we've got.
Correct, and the applicant is aware of that, and he
Okay.
has been working with the Forest Service. Staff did recommend to him to get something in writing from them, just so
For
he
his
has
own
something.
benefit and
Yeah,
protection.
correct.
Yes,
Correct.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay, there's a gentleman in the audience that I assume you'd like to speak to this issue. You state your name, please, and
I'm David Grover. I'm the one that's applying for this. A couple of different things that you mentioned, and one of them is that Towering Pines, and with the couple of, was it Judy or Jackie, one of them, and then can't think of the guy's name, Bob. Anyway, yeah, we're having a discussion right now as far as like, because there's a fence on both sides of the road, and when they let their cattle run free, that they have a tendency to go down there. So I've told them that I would meet with them, and I have a plan that at the north end of that Towering Pines, right at that corner of Lot A there, that there would be some kind of a gate. They're talking about, anyway, there would be some kind of a gate to keep the cattle out to come down there because, and not that I have actually plan on removing the fence. It's just that it's very old, and actually, in all reality, it's not. I mean, I guess the cows can stay out a few, but anyway, it's just an old fence. So my plan is to actually talk with them and try to get that settled. As you do see there in Lot B, the Highway Department will not let me come another exit off of Old Hill City Road. So it'll come in on that Mills Ranch Road, and then you can see where I have a access up to Lot B there, parallel with the Old Hill City Road. And as far as lots K and L, I've been dealing with the Forest Service, and I was dealing for a long time with a MENA down there, and they kept telling me that because I want something in writing to say that I can always have that access, and they said, but our road is on your property, so you don't need anything. You just, and one of I was kind of glad I kind of underlined it here. The response from the Forest Service was, I can't, but anyway, they just, when the Forest Service responded to Brittany, it said on number 11, the thing that they said, National Forest Service Road 357 does cross a portion of the private property associated with the Mills Ranch subdivision. This is a Forest Service road that is open to the public. And that's what they keep telling me. It's open to the public, so you have nothing, you don't really need anything. I'm still gonna try to push, get something in writing because, and, well, Mina moved, now she's in Arizona, so I have a new guy at the Forest Service, and he tells me, well, just go get one of those Forest Service maps, and it's gonna show you on there that that's an open road, and that's good enough. Well, I don't know, I'm not gonna settle for that. I'm gonna try to push to get something somehow, and, in writing from them, but anyway. And you're right, so access to L, as you can see, there's a Forest Service road comes in and then goes across that right by the section line and then a road down, access to Lot L. You think I've got most of it covered?
Any other questions? Oh, Kathy?
I would concur, Mr. Grover, about that getting something in writing, because you've seen through the last few years since the GPS system has gone in, how some of these lines have moved, and all of a sudden, they might decide it's their road and not some private road. I would strongly suggest you get it in writing.
Yeah.
Mr. Grover, I have just a couple of questions on that, but regarding that Forest Service road, that's essentially, not maintained. So if indeed that is your access to those two lots and the road needs maintenance, washed out or whatnot, who will be responsible? Would you be allowed to maintain a Forest Service road, or can the Forest Service, can you hold them liable for that maintenance, or how does that work?
They will not do the maintenance, and if, when I originally talked to them about this, they says, well, if you access your property off of our road, you need to maintain it. And I go, and you need to get basically a use permit, and that is every year, I guess you have to apply for that use permit to access your property. And you have to not only maintain it, but you have to upgrade it and all of that. And of course, my comment was, I think you misunderstood me. Your road is on my property. I want to come off of your road that's on my property onto my property. And you don't have to do anything, but I'm still pushing also for that. I want to actually get a use permit from them, that I would maintain it. And the only problem is that I see is that every single year I'm going to have to reapply for that, but it's just what it is, so just something that's going to have to be done.
Now, regarding Towering Pines Road, it's my understanding, from talking with Judy and then Gary, is that the reason the cattle have to go down there is because there's no water in that north pasture. So
where do they go down there for water? Onto the Mills Ranch?
Yes, that's my understanding, and that's why every day the cattle make the trek down there to fill up with water, and then they go back and graze in the north pasture. So having some sort of an access is real important for them to continue with the grazing that they've, done.
That's the first time I've heard about that.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd certainly encourage you to work with the neighbors now so that these issues don't come up later.
And Gary has come to me and he and Bob Drew and him we plan on meeting. I've just been busy, but I will pursue that concern of theirs to see what can be done.
Any other questions, Mr. Grover? Thank you, Mr. Grover. I guess we could have a motion unless there's,
I have one question I'd like to ask
Oh,
Brittany
I'm
before
sorry.
we do a motion.
Go ahead.
If I could. Brittany, I looked through these through the conditions. Is that where I'm at? Oh, the recommendation. Oh, maybe I mixed up here. Okay, yeah, under the recommendations, the conditions 5 and 8. When I look at those, they seem to me to say the same thing. Anyway, the difference escapes me between those two, so maybe.
Oh, they are the same, so you could probably remove one of them.
Okay.
What?
On the recommendations page, the conditions, 5,
Yeah,
8.
I didn't hear what she said.
Oh, just remove one of them. They are the same.
Which one should be
You
removed?
just remove number 5.
Number 5? Okay. All right, well, I'll move approval of the preliminary plat with the removal of condition 5 from the staff recommendation. This is preliminary
Second.
plat, yeah, preliminary plat 20-36.
Do we need to,
Oh, Mark seconded it.
That's correct.
It's been moved and seconded, waiting for you to ask
we're
for
going to take
discussion.
away one of those?
Right. So it'll just be with removing item or condition number 5.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Okay, number 15.
Item number 15 is Plan Unit Development Review, PU 1603, to review a plan unit development to allow for a specialty resort development to include uses such as vacation home rentals, weddings, receptions, picnics, family reunions, parties, single-family residences, bed and breakfast, storage, gift shop, spa, cabana, bistro, detached accessory structures with living quarters, duplexes on the subject property. This was approved back in September of 2018 with a review in 2 years. Staff did reach out to the applicants to verify that the conditions of approval were being met. Staff did receive an email back from the applicants indicating that they would like to make some changes to some of the conditions in this planned unit development. Staff has been in contact with them on several occasions through the summer to let them know that any changes to the character of this planned unit development or any changes that would impact all of the lots within the planned unit development would require a major amendment to the planned unit development. So they are requesting that this planned unit development review be continued until the second meeting in January. They are going out of town for the next month over the holidays, so they would like this to be continued to, I believe it's January 24th Planning Commission, or January 25th Planning Commission meeting. Is it 24th or 25th?
Oh, I can't get my calendar.
That's
Come up.
December 21st, I thought.
It did, and that was actually, recommendation was based on staff prior to me receiving an email. I did get an email from them after
I see,
this had
sure.
gone into
I'll get a
the
date
packet.
here real quick.
So what date do we put in there now?
Is it January 25th? Is that
Yes.
the January 25th?
Okay.
I would move to continue to the commission meeting on January 25th.
Second.
Second, okay. All right, roll call.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just had a question for Commissioner DeSanto. Don't I remember right when this was passed, this PUD was passed, that there was quite a discussion about changing it in the future? It had gone on for months to clear this, and that you commissioners have been pretty clear that you didn't want a lot of changes down the road, that you would hope that this would be the final months-long approach to this sort of thing? Just a
There was
question.
a tremendous amount of discussion. And yes, we were pretty clear that we were hoping to not have a lot of changes other than the changes that we requested in the first place. But nevertheless, I think that it's fair to them to listen to what they would like to change.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the county board report?
The Board of Commissioners concurred with the Planning Commission's recommendations from the November 9th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay. Items from the public. Doesn't seem to be much out there. Items from staff?
I believe we don't have anything today.
Items from membership. Anyone going to be gone or something? Or are you going to just be huddled in your little houses,
I do have
staying
one,
away from the,
we do have one reminder. The second meeting in December, do not forget it starts at 2 PM instead of the normal 9 AM. So just a
Oh, okay.
reminder.
2 PM, okay.
2 PM?
2 PM on that second meeting in December.
Which
Will you be
is,
sending us a list of the dates for 2021?
Yes, I'm working on those right now.
Yeah, okay.
And
Is that
that'll be,
December 21st? Is where, is that,
Yes.
what time did you say?
2 PM.
2 PM. Thank you.
and that'll be my last meeting on the planning and zoning, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd have to sleep a long time if I could.
You get to sleep in there, Charlie.
a motion for adjournment?
I'd motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those, well, we better roll call it, I guess.
Charlie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.